Hello, good evening again, and you're welcome to this edition. I think this should be the sixth or seventh edition of hashtag God Bless Nigeria Summit. Um, this is one of your favorite program online at the moment. It's coming to you courtesy of Church of God Mission International House of Praise, Lekki, Nigeria. Tonight or this evening, or depends on and where you are in the part of the globe, morning, afternoon, evening. We are going to be continuing a series that we've had for the past two Saturdays. It's on the current scourge, the rape scourge. And we're also going to be talking about the plight of the girl child. That's why you should not be surprised that we have all female panelists and the only male in their midst, but I'm very, very comfortable. All right, so tonight we have three um, well selected, beautiful, intelligent, young panelists. First on my list is Esohe Idehen. She is a human capacity developer. She resides in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. Esoe, you are welcome to the show this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here.
Hello, Esoe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
All right.
you.
The second
Can you hear
is
me?
Mrs. Yolanda Akajagbor. She's a lawyer and an entrepreneur. She resides in Houston, Texas, USA. Yolanda, you are welcome to the show this evening.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and so great to be here.
And last but not the least is Mrs. Dami Oduware. She's an engineer. She resides in Lagos State, Nigeria.
Hello,
Damilola,
hello
welcome to the show
everyone.
this evening.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we go straight to the issues on ground. If you have been following this program, you realize that we'll be talking about the plight of the girl child, the circumstances that limit the girl child, both here in Nigeria and all over the world. But our focus is on Nigeria. It's a scourge. It's not just rape. Last week, someone in our panel said something. They said rape is just a byproduct of the main problem, which is the limitations, the religious, ethnic, traditional, whatever limitations of the girl child in Nigeria. Esoe, I want you to I want to ask you this question. You were in this panel last week. What are the solutions to all these? What do you think we should do to stop these practices and where do we even start from in the first place? Because there are just too many, from tradition to religion to culture, everywhere. The girl child has no chance. Where do we start solving this problem? How? Please let us know.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a known fact that the girl child tends to face a lot of limitation as compared to the male child in our society. However, most of the issues that plague the girl child are issues that they've been there for ages, and we would agree that it's not something that we can wipe off just once, but with gradual, process, or step by step, putting in the right, right, how do I put this now? Getting to start bit by bit and having to do things in a little own way can completely, over time get to eradicate all of these issues. We need to give it up to all of those who have been in this fight. Like, we know that a lot has been done, and the girl child is willing to have a voice now, and but then there is still a lot more that can be done. There is a lot more that can be done. Some of the issues, or some of the you know basically bulk of the issues that limits the girl child are those issues that are tied to culture. They're those issues that are tied to traditions and all of that. And some of those traditions, like I said last time or last week, is the fact that traditions in themselves are not dangerous. Culture in itself is not dangerous. Culture is what identify a particular group of people. Tradition is what separates a group of, a particular ethnic group from another ethnic group. But however, we're looking at the harmful culture that mitigates or that limits the female child. And some of those harmful cultures or traditions include um female genital mutilation, early child marriage. There are also cultures that talks about trying to correct the girl child, and one of the way you do that is by what they call corrective rape and stuff like that. So these are really things that we need to look into. How do we actually begin to tackle all of this? The first thing we need to do is that we need to realize, we need to get to that point where we understand that the female child is not in any way less than the male child. The female child is not a lesser version of the male child. Do you understand? She's not in any way inferior to the male child. As a matter of fact, what we have seen over time, or since we have had people coming up to fight for this female rights and all of that, we have seen that the female child have proven over and over again that she can do much more than what the male child is doing, or she can do at least the same thing that the male child does if she's given a level playing field. However, we cannot play down on the fact that the environment that she has found herself is playing a lot in the limitation, because um, we believe that a child is born plain, and whatever the child gets to know or whatever the child gets to believe is as a result of what the child has seen in the surrounding environment. And by the time we have culture in our environment, or we have an environment that tends to constantly place before the girl child that she is less, we would not expect her to do much more, because I like to say that the battles of life, they are either won or lost in the mind. So by the time we have a
Yes.
society, or the first thing that we need to do is we have to, I said this last time, we need to revisit our traditions. We need to revisit our
Mm-hmm.
traditions. We need to, if there's any way we monarchs, and thank God that we're beginning to have monarchs that are educated, like in Benin, we have monarch, at least the president, the current Oba of Benin was the ambassador to, Nigerian ambassador to Italy and some other countries over time, and he's a barrister. So, and this is what we have seen over time, that we're beginning to have educated monarchs. So I feel that if we sit down and them to see, the danger that this culture places on the girl child, I feel a lot of them will be able to go back to those culture and and revisit them and rewrite them. After all, what's the name? One of the guests we had here last time says culture. Some of those harmful culture at the peer
Mm-hmm.
pressure from the dead that is still haunting the living. So it's something that we really need to go back and look into. Now,
Yes.
away from revisiting culture, we also have to provide, you know, the family, yes, the individual that makes up the family needs to learn and understand that there are certain values that should be imbibed in the family. Now, the family is the production unit of every society. So whatever a child becomes, at least 60% is what is 60 70-80% the child has imbibed from the family. So when you go to hear
Mm-hmm.
parents calling the female child and you hear statements such as um um don't you know he's a man, or do this because he's a man, oh, do this because you're going to have to be your
Mm-hmm.
husband's house. Statements such as that already places limitation on the girl child, thinking that everything about her, or her entirety, or everything she's living for is to serve the male, either as a result, or serve the male child as form of a husband or whoever he may be. And because they are not taught where to draw this divide, that when you go into the society, you are equal to the male child. I said this last time, that there is no male spirit, neither is there a male spirit. You are both one and the same. When God made
Mm-hmm.
man, he made man, and he made man male and female. So the male and female are both
Mm-hmm.
different versions of man in its entirety. So even the female child has
Mm-hmm.
the man that was given, go into the world and dominate and replenish. So we need to understand that there is actually no difference. There is nothing between the male child and the female child other than the physical anatomy, which tells you if she chooses to get married, the role she will play in the home, which is nursing the seed, and all of that, breastfeeding the child and blah. That's the only difference. In terms of how she thinks, the brain, everything the same. Nothing differentiates her from the male child. Now, a lot of the female child needs to come to this
Yeah.
realization, because what they've known over time is there is this limitation, there is this blockade in their mind that tells them that they are meant to serve the male child, or they are meant to be, or they are inferior or less of a person to the male child. So yes, while we're revisiting our tradition, while we're looking into our culture, while we are teaching the family to begin to mind the kind of statements you use. Do not use derogatory terms. Now you see people, even when you're driving on the street, you hear the taxi driver say, "Not be become a woman." Statements like that are derogatory. And what they do is that they constantly put the female child in a situation where she thinks less of herself. And when she's not comfortable in her mind, when there is no confidence, trust you me, there is absolutely nothing that she can do.
Yeah.
So even if you put her
Yeah.
right in front of success, she won't be able
Yes.
to handle it, because she has been taught all
Mm.
the time that she's
Yes.
less than the
Yes.
male child. And we see this running around even in school, politics in school. You hardly see female SUGs, except for now. Thank God they're beginning to rise up. But yes, there is still a lot more that can be done. And I believe that by the time we begin to take this little steps here and there, and we
More to
begin
be
to our
done.
child, we begin to pay priority to her. Yes, we begin to talk
All
to her like
right.
we talk to the male in the same way, we would gradually eradicate all of this over time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. What you just talked about, I do it too. My wife doesn't like it at all. Sometimes we're driving together, and a lady drives in front of me, and I say, "Oh, that should be a lady." Everything that goes wrong on the road
Oh,
is a lady. you know, that's not just right. That's not just right. No, now, Damilola, do you believe the girl child is responsible for her failure or plight in society? This thing is what I'm saying is this: must the atmosphere be perfect to sail through to success? Should the girl child take to herself the responsibility of success? Attaining success. You are a female, and you're also an engineer in the space where male dominates. Huh? You have been able to explore all your talents and establish your space very well in that very difficult terrain. How did you come out clean and dry against all the odds? Should society blame the ills of the girl child on male dominance, traditional beliefs, cultural practices, religious practices, and all whatnot? How can a girl child, rise above all these obstacles and be successful just as you are, regardless of all the odds against you? How?
Yeah, those are very, very vital questions, Austin. And I'll start, one by one. Let's start with the definition of a child. A child, is defined as
Mhm,
a
mhm,
person that is under the age of 18. And what that means is that within that age range, the child is typically under the primary custody of an adult, either somebody from
mm,
the family, their parents, uncles, aunties, as well as the state. What that means is that
mhm,
people are responsible for the welfare, the upbringing, and responsible for molding that child. So the responsibility of a child does not lie with the child. That responsibility
mm,
lies with the caretakers. And it's very important that we understand that, because
mm,
it's easy to lay blame on a victim. But the people who are actually responsible should take that accountability. I do not agree that a child is responsible for their plight. That is why that person is a child. A child is still within the formative age. So the people under who the child is, who is taking care of that child is responsible. Now, you're right, I'm an engineer, and my journey to engineering started with a child. My dad was an engineer,
mhm,
and I just liked the way he worked, and I said I'm going to be an engineer. And I was lucky and blessed that I had parents who did not question me or try to, pull me down because I'm a female trying to be an engineer. What they did was to give me education. And the thing about education is that it broadens your perspective. It opens your mind to
Mm-hmm.
endless possibilities. And so because I had that kind of upbringing, that's a mindset that I carried even into university. But guess what? Being a female engineer, you start to see and realize some stereotypes. For example, there's a belief that an engineer has to be very tall and you have to talk roughly and you have to have a loud voice and you have to look, scruffy. Pretty much you have to have manly features and characters. And if you know me well, I don't have any of those, But because I had that upbringing from my parents, and that's why I said the responsibility for the welfare of the child lies with an adult until that child becomes an adult themselves. Because of that foundation that I had, and because of education, I was able to understand that engineering is not about how you look physically. It's not about getting your hands dirty. It's about applying your mind and being able to solve problems. It's about being creative. And those are
Mm,
attributes that a woman
mm,
has and a woman can build. And so I told myself, well, this is what engineering is.
mm,
I'm going to focus on this trait. So two things. While I was a child, I was guided, I was given education, and then as an adult, I was able to write my own script, my own narrative. Now, how does the girl child become successful? It starts from when that girl child is a child. I cannot overemphasize the importance of building that confidence in a child, helping that child realize that she can do
mm,
anything, helping that child realize that the fact that you're a girl doesn't mean you cannot do some certain kind of task. If you look into history, you will see that there are actually many women who invented things. I read that
mm.
the first solar power home was invented by a woman. The
Wow.
was
Wow.
invented by a woman. The dishwasher was invented by a woman. So what I mean, a girl child
Wow.
has endless possibilities, and we have to start to harness those skills.
Mm,
Like as I mentioned, every child, God created every child with something. It is not right
mm-hmm.
for us as adults, because of our cultures, because of our beliefs, because of things that have been passed down generation to generation, which many people don't even understand the history of. It is not appropriate to then use those mindset and belief to hinder the growth and the welfare of a child. Adults need to step up, the state needs to step up to help ensure that children, and especially the female child, can be all that she set out to be.
Thank you very much. One thing I've taken from what Esohe and you, Damilola, have spoken about is that culture should not use us. We should use culture. Culture should never use us. We should use culture. We should be in charge of these things. Secondly, a child is a child. They can't take responsibility fully at that age. Someone is their caretaker. Somebody cares for them. Somebody brought them into this world. That person should be responsible, at least to some extent, where the child is able to gain independence and start taking responsibility for herself. Even when they are grown, the government to some extent is responsible. You know, sometimes there are some crimes that happen in this country. You hear, it's no longer in the hands of the people or the parents. You now hear the state is the one prosecuting the case. Do you understand? So basically, the government takes responsibility to some extent, of some issues. I mean, the government too plays a role. Yolanda, again, we are going back to the issue of rape. Okay?
Yeah.
How should a female or girl child begin to conduct herself to avoid such tragic incidents? What should parents do, especially mothers, to protect their daughters? There's certainly a part that a girl child must play. There's something they must do as well. in ensuring that this scourge comes to an end? Has government done enough? Do you think government has done enough in stemming this tide? Do we have laws to arrest, prosecute, and jail offenders? You live in a country where the rule of law have its play, is top notch. Do our laws strong or stiff enough? Do you think our law enforcement agents are trained enough to tackle rape issues here? You have cases where a child is raped, or if a female is raped, and they go to the police station, and you hear things like, we don't have the resources, there are no forensic labs, or do we even have, and how are they run? It's a big problem. Are they well equipped for these kind of cases? Please talk to us from your experience in a world where um, things are done the right way. Please, can you share with us, how do we solve this problem from the legal aspect as well?
All right, thank you so much, Austin. I'm going to refer to my notes a couple of times because so I don't quote the law out of
Yes,
place. But first of all, I just want to
that's fine.
I'll
That's
say
fine.
that the most important thing, probably the take home today, is that we need more, there's been a lot of awareness concerning rape, and I'm so grateful for that. But we also need more education.
Mm, mm,
We need more education on the fact that rape is never the fault of the victim. We need to keep shouting it out loud.
mm,
I feel like it's put more pressure on the girl
mm,
to even take care of herself. I mean, she already has to deal with equality with her male
mm,
counterparts, but even for her own personal space, it's so almost unconscionable that she has to still, take care of herself,
mm,
her own personal space, which should be everyone's right. So she's fighting for her position with job equality. She's fighting to do better. She's fighting for pay raise, the same pay
mm,
grade as her male counterpart. So even for her personal space, it's sad that she also has to take care of that. So number one,
mm,
it's not the fault of a victim under any circumstance. It is 100% the rapist making a choice to violate a person because they have the physical strength and sometimes the mental wherewithal to have their way with a person and get away with it. And especially in a male dominated society like Nigeria, where the man is master, lord,
mm,
king, and almost all the time untouchable.
mm.
Almost all the time untouchable. So with all of the awareness that we are raising, I want us to please raise that it is never the victim's fault. It is never, if we keep putting that out there, it's going to
Mhm.
go a long way. It's going to go a long way in helping ensure that the girl child is taken care of. Secondly, back to your question, in an ideal world, she doesn't have to do anything. She shouldn't do anything to protect herself in an ideal world, right? Um, because like I said, there's already so much pressure. Secondly, there's nothing that she can do. So she shouldn't do anything, and there's really nothing she can do
Yeah.
because if we look at the stereotypes of people that have been raped, we will now understand that where we are is a completely different place than where we thought we were. A baby in diaper, how is she
Mm,
going to protect herself? A nun, sorry,
mm,
wearing her nun outfit. A lady in a burqa, how is she going to protect herself? We have a stereotype in our mind of who the victims of rape should be, but it doesn't follow that way. It
mhm,
doesn't follow that way. There are a wide range of people, and so since there is no stereotype, the burden is no longer on us, the female. It is actually on the government to take care of us. It's on the government to take care of us. But if you want to look at guidelines that could help, I'll tell you that priority, and it's what I'll tell anyone, I'll tell my children, I'll tell my friends, is maintaining your prioritizing your personal safety. So if you're a girl, you have to prioritize your personal safety. I mean, until laws are put in place and until we're a lot more secure, prioritize. Make sure you're not going to places where that are high risk places per se, late night parties where there's a lot of drinking and smoking, and you don't know the people that you're meeting up with. Those kind of places, you have to maintain your avoid them if you can. But if you can't, make sure that you are very cautious. Make sure that you're cautious about what you drink, what you eat. There are lots of cookies that look innocent, but they are laced with something that could harm you. So I always say that the most
mhm,
important thing for all of us is to make sure that you prioritize your personal safety. Um, Also, I encourage people to carry pepper spray. There's some that you can attach to your key holder. There's some that you can, attach to your phone. They're small enough. Carry pepper spray so that that's an extra because sometimes there's a tendency for it to be that you were overpowered because it was a stronger male. So if you have a pepper spray, that could help you. Avoid walking alone at night. Sometimes you're at work and you have to go home, and you're like, man, I need to go home. I need to go home. Sometimes it's better to sleep in the office, especially if you're in a place where you don't know how the environment is. You don't know if it's safe walking at night, trying to get transportation at night. You don't know. Prioritize your personal safety. I also say avoid flirtatious behavior. Let your no be no. So if someone talk to you and all that, I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's trying to talk to you and all that, you ensure you are not flirting with them and giving them sort of the green light, right? But in all of the things that I've said, there is no guarantee. That's why the job is not on the girl child. There's no guarantee that you do all of these things and still not get raped, which is unfortunate. But that's why our government has to do better. Our government has to do better. When you talk about what parents should do, you raised it up and you said what should mothers do, especially it's not a job for mothers alone. It's a job for the entire family. I don't think fathers know enough of what has been happening, and that too has been very, very bad. Fathers need to know. Fathers need to be able to talk. Brothers need to know. Sons need to know. It's a family issue. That's the only way that it would help. Brothers need to know appropriate behavior. So as a father, you're talking to your sons and you're telling them how to address a girl, what amounts to sexual assault, or what amounts to some sexually deviant behavior. Fathers need to talk to their sons and tell them, hey, this is how to talk to a girl. Oh, that's not how to talk to a lady. This is proper behavior. Because you know why? When your son knows what proper behavior is, he will exhibit it. That's one. And also whenever he sees a situation where a girl is being threatened, he would intervene. So we need to let the whole family in on it, not just mothers alone. But on the other hand, I would also say the same thing with mothers and fathers and parents, to make sure that you can minimize mitigating situations and circumstances, eliminate high risk scenarios. So if you don't need that uncle to come hang out in your house, please, don't bother having that kind of person. You don't know who is coming. We don't know. The way we say it now, we don't know anybody finish. So people like that, questionable helps. Even send your daughter to go give the security guard food and all that. I'm not saying that everybody is bad, but any scenario that can go left as much as possible, avoid it as much as possible. Then dress your kids appropriately. Do the best that you can to make them as presentable as possible. These are guidelines that will help, reduce or manage the situation. It will not eliminate it. What will eliminate it is government doing better. We need to the government needs to do a lot better. They've tried, but I'm so happy that there's this huge awareness right now. The awareness is strong enough to cause Congress to get more laws, put more laws in place. We need to have hefty fines for inappropriate behavior, and then we need to have enforceable, lengthy sentences for offenders. We need to have all of that in place. Importantly, we need to have a database. We don't have that. So when you database,
of sex offenders.
Yes, you need to have all of those kind of things where people who are offenders, even from the smallest point, are included in that database, so that everybody's aware. When you're dating someone and you don't know him so well, you can go check, hey, is this guy in this database? Oh, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. Do you understand? So we have a lot of work.
Yes.
There's a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, our officials, the police, they're not trained.
Yes.
They're not trained.
Law enforcement agents. Yes.
Yeah, there are certain standards that are expected. Number one is taking witness statements and testimony. Right. Whenever a victim goes to report, the first thing they say is, "What were you wearing? What were you wearing?" They're scolding her. Why appropriate and all that. So it's almost victim shaming will make any victim not want to come out. So that's number one. They need proper training so that they can take witness statements and deal with it. Secondly, the situation where they have to collect evidence. Now in Nigeria, we're not able to do that. We're not at that stage. We don't have the gadget or the equipment. Several times you see them collecting evidence with their bare hands. You need gloves, you need all of those kind of things. So we
mm,
don't have that. We
mm.
don't have those kind of things. Enforcement agents are not trained properly. There's no proper training for them.
Yes.
When it comes to
Mhm.
investigation, right? How many times some of them they don't have the funds to even go and go and follow up an investigation. So
Yes.
there's a whole lot. How about prosecuting offenders? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A lot of people might not realize this, but a lot of cases in criminal cases are not prosecuted. A lot of them because
Mm.
we're backlogged. We're in a system that is not working anymore. We're caving under a system that is broken down, and so we need to overhaul the whole system. And we have laws. We
Yeah,
have
well, Yolanda, I want you to hold that thought, and I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
okay.
Now, Esohe, there is this school of thought that a woman must be 10 times more ready than a man to achieve the same feat. There's this thing that and I mean, is it okay to say, there's this saying, they don't give me chance. That's why I'm here where I am. You know, I asked Damilo, and she explained a bit of it. There is, are you not responsible for your life, for the successes? Who is given the chance in this world? You know what I'm talking about. How can we rise above that narrative, that
Yes.
obstacle, and say, look, regardless of all the odds, I can, as a person, take responsibility, even as a girl child, and rise above. Damilola had odds against her. Yolanda had odds against her. I mean, regardless of your parents' support and all that, there were still some odds. I happen to be an engineer. I also graduated from the same university as Damilola Oduware. I mean, I know in my school, in a class of about 30 engineers, you have like 26 are male, just 4 of them are females. They have no chance. You understand? They have no chance. There's dominance, there's intimidation, there's so much. But you see, most of those ladies end up having better grades than us, the male. How do they do it? That the young lady sitting by the roadside say, I was not given the opportunity. That's why I am here today. How can we change the orientation of our female child? How?
All right. So first and foremost, most times when I have to face this kind of questions during trainings and all of that, I like to say, what then is our definition of success? What is success to you? How do you define success?
Mm-hmm.
What is success to that young
Mm-hmm.
girl who is by the roadside
Mm-hmm.
that's saying she wasn't given chance? Now I went to a school and then we're asking one of my giveaway projects beyond the classroom. And so we're talking to a lot of female children and we're asking, what do you want to do? One of them said, I want to sell tomatoes in the market. And guess what? As soon as she said that, the class, everybody's still laughing at her. And we're like, so why are you
Mm.
people laughing? No, because she says she wants to sell tomatoes in the market. Now we must understand that why we have
Mm.
people who are in the is it the white collar job now you're going to call it, like, who are professionals, people like Dami, people like Yolanda, someone like Esohe. We also need to
Mm.
understand that there are
Mm.
also
Mm.
people who are definitely going to be at the shop selling something. There are definitely
Oh
people who are
yes.
going to sew
Oh
clothes.
yes.
There are definitely
Mm-hmm.
people who are going to make food as caterers. Are we going to say these people are not successful?
Hmm.
So that's one of the things we need to look at. So by the
Wow.
time we have it's a definition of success or what success is, then we can now ask the female child what is success to her. Because
Mhm.
sometimes when the female child is telling you that I am not successful, when she's looking down on herself, she's looking at you based on, oh, Esoe is a trainer. And then I am selling tomatoes. Therefore,
Mm.
I am not successful. She understand. So what is success to you? Why you have to
Yes.
define that? We cannot play down on the fact that yes, an educated tomato seller is going to be different from a tomato seller who never got education at all. So when a child has education and has decided on the fact that this is the path I want to tread on, I think parents should give support and society should give them support. The whole pressure of, being successful
Mm.
means that you have to be like up, 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 up there. Come on, it's a bit
Yes.
technical here now because we don't have all of the time to define that. So if I now say, oh, that is not all there is to success, someone may now not get it in full. But actually, we need to look at all of that. So by the time we have that into perspective, you can now begin to ask your question: what role do you actually want that you were not given? Because actually, time and chance happens to everybody.
Mm.
Time and chance happens to everybody.
Yes.
You may be in a house
Yes.
where you do not have the opportunity to go to university. You went to primary school, you went to secondary school. Man, there is a lot you can do. It's one of the narratives that we're beginning to push now, that schooling and education are two different things entirely. Now it is up to the girl child to educate herself. Your parents may send you to school within the four walls of an institution, but that is not all there is to education. So when you're not properly educated, now you're at
Mm.
a disadvantage. You cannot stand at the same what is it called now? Yes, that's one of the disadvantages you're going to have. And that probably, if that is where a girl child is talking from and saying, oh, I didn't have the chance, we're not going to blame that on your parents. We're not going to blame that on the government either. I know we're going to say in the working system, I'm talking about in the UK where Yolanda is, UK or US, sorry, Houston, Texas.
The
So
US.
where she is, the system that works where, at least the government funds a girl child to a certain level. Yeah, there is a system. But in this part of the world where we don't have the system,
Mm.
my friend, you have to get up for yourself. I am in this system. Dami is
Yes.
in this system. How are all the women that were looking up to, how are they doing? How are they doing it? In this system, we have the like of Ibokun Woshika. You have women who are doing a lot. You have Mrs.
Mhm.
Mavi C, but you have Idare. Do you understand? You have women who
Yes.
are doing a lot.
Yes.
So we need
Yes.
to begin to understand again that it is up to the girl child. Yes, while we are looking at cultural practices and all of that, it is still up to the girl child who has gone past that age of 18. As a matter of fact, sometimes I like to say that's just constitutional kidney wedding call, because sometimes you have 13-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls. We have seen a lot of them go for tech hackathon and they come out with something crazy. Do you
Mhm.
understand? So at the end of
All
the
right.
day, you cannot sit down and
Yes.
wait for success to come to you. The world is not that fair. You have to go for what you want and
Yes.
get what you want. Even the male child has that trouble to break through. It's not a matter of female,
Yes. Yes.
whatever. They have that trouble to break through as well. So if you're prepared, the truth of the matter is, if you are, opportunity will always come to you, and there'll be that time for you to seize the opportunity and make the best out of it.
Mhm.
All right. Damilola, tradition sometimes says the place of the woman is in the kitchen. Religion says the place of the girl child is on the membership seat. You can attain, you can attain leadership. Talk to us about how we can begin to change that narrative about where the place of a girl child is in
Yeah.
society. Where do we start changing that? Yes, please.
You made a statement about some of the comments you make when you see a woman driving. It starts from the home.
Mm,
Sometimes
mm,
consciously or unconsciously, we have this sort of gender bias division of labor, even in a home. So as you raise,
yes,
you notice
yes.
that typically, if you have a girl child, you go and do the dishes, go and cook. If you have the male child, you tend to put more manly tasks to that male child to do.
Mm,
And from that very age, you start to create a divide and a mindset about who a female child is, or who a female child is, and who a male child is. And the thing about the mind is the way you train your mind, that is, it will stick. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and he will never depart from
mm,
it.
mm,
So
mm.
it will take a lot to retrain that mind. So it starts from the home. When you are raising up children, raise them up as children. Give them the skills, both what you call in quote feminine type skills and masculine type skills, to both of them, because they both would need those skills to survive. So I would say that it starts from the home. Now, if you have or you give a child
Yes.
that kind of mindset, it helps the child to start to build things like resilience, things like confidence. When they start to,
Mm-hmm.
people start to tell a female
Yeah.
child, for example, are you sure you can be an engineer? Or, oh, if you happen to travel out
Pilot.
for an engineering job, you left your family at home, you begin to, when you've built that mindset, they have that resilience and confidence in who they are and in the abilities that they have,
Mm-hmm.
being able to tackle whatever it's put forward before them. So I'll say it starts with the home. Train your children as children, not as it, without gender bias. Train them with the right skills, and that will help them go a long way and help them to tackle things. And I also want to, institutions such as the church. These are institutions where people look up to, and those
Mm-hmm.
institutions should set an example for how women should be treated, even within the leadership of the church. Have more women there, and allow women explore and express
Yes.
themselves because they have that capability.
Thank you very much. Yolanda,
Yes.
your last comment, I just want to ask you this question. The Bible says that if you have any issue with anybody, settle it before you get to the station, the police station. And many people quote that when they have rape victims and they say, look, let's settle it in house. Let's keep it. Let's not let the stigma, come to our family. Let's not let people know about this. It's too shameful. And they even quote the scripture and say, look, the Bible says, settle your matter before you get to the police or you get to the judges. How do you want people to legally handle rape cases?
For me, I always say that we've come a long way with the awareness, but I also think that there's still a lot of work to be done. And like Dami said, everybody has to start taking responsibility, and some of us have to. Sometimes if one person changes, that is the beginning of. So everybody has to say, listen, I know this seems like it is a disastrous thing, but I'm gonna go report a rape. Encourage rape victims. Encourage
Yes.
rape victims to come out and speak out, and do not shut them down. I feel like parents should give an open door policy to their children and not trust them. Let them come out, let them speak up, let them speak up, because that's the only way. The only way we'll get change is if we're constantly speaking about it and going forward, even though it feels uncomfortable. Even though it feels uncomfortable. So go out there, report a rape, report an incident of rape, tell them what happened, and families should support people who are going out there to report an incident of rape. Support them. And the society, so I crave the society's influence. Please do not scold them. Do not say, what was she wearing? Do not say, oh, this girl, that's how she looks.
Mm,
Support people who are
mm,
so that you don't, because so many people will not. In fact, the last couple of years, a lot of people have said, hey, I was raped when I was a child, I was molested when I was a child, and the number of people, it's crazy. It's crazy. But because they couldn't come out to say it, because they would have been scolded. Some of them, their parents would have spanked them. I watched a video on Facebook a few days ago that hurt me so much. It was a little child whose mother was saying she's the one always going to meet the malam that raped her. This child is not up to 10 years old. Then her mother was beating her because she said she always goes to meet that malam, and I've been telling her
mm,
people are meeting. So when the malam raped her, her mother said it was her fault. So when you don't have that kind of support,
mm,
this will never change. It will be a cycle that our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren will still be
mm,
connected to.
mm,
Don't shame
mm.
rape. Don't. Don't.
Yes. I think the take home here, sorry, we don't have the time to do the parting shot, but I just want to make some statements. The take home here is we should also do what we call name and shame. When there are no consequences for action, evil will always prevail. Evil will always prevail. Um, Nobody deserves to be raped. I wrote on my social media handle on Facebook, I say, rape is not sex. Rape is murder. You've killed a generation. It will be difficult to bring them back. Let's put hands together to end this scourge. That female child that you put down by the words you tell her, that you raped, that you tell all sorts of things, she could become the Moses of our nation. She could become the savior of this nation. Let's all put our hands together to make this world a better place. This world is bad, is caused by humans. The world is good, is by humans. Please, let us put our hands together. Give everyone equal right and equal opportunity. Everyone can rise up to what they want to be, who they want to be, and what they want to become if you give them the chance. I want to thank our panelists who have done justice to this discussion this evening. I want to thank all those who have participated on this platform and have been able to educate the public about the plight of the girl child and ways by which we can raise or change the narrative. I'm sure a lot of people have gained knowledge from you ladies. If you have any comments, and I'm talking now to the public, if you have any comments or any questions to ask, you can always send to us. You can always send to us. This, by the way, this program is coming to you courtesy of Church of God Mission International, House of Praise, Lekki, Nigeria. And the senior pastor is Reverend Mavi Isibo. Please, I would like you to, this program runs every Saturday by 6 p.m. It's usually 30 minutes, but we overshot it. I mean, this is a peculiar issue. So, I mean, this is a special one. It talks about a very, very sensitive issue. That's why we overshot our time. I want to apologize for that. I want to thank you again, Yolanda, for season, for allowing us steal part of your very, very busy schedule. I want to thank you, Dami Lola. You are such a wonderful woman, and I want to specially thank you, Esohe. This is your second appearance consecutively for 2 weeks now, and you have been wonderful. Want to say, join us again next week on hashtag God Bless Nigeria. There's something we do here when we, ended the program. We all say, God bless, hashtag God, we all say, God bless Nigeria. Can we say it together?
God bless Nigeria.
Amen. And it's surely going to bless Nigeria. We are blessed. Thank you very much. See you next week. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.